So I wanted to start out by talking about my previous website, my old website here. We're looking at this website that I've had for almost 10 years now, which is kind of amazing to me. I started teaching Pilates a little over 10 years ago in Los Angeles, and at one point I got equipment, put it in my home, and I knew just intuitively that I needed to get a website up to draw clientele to me. And at the time, in the area I lived, there really wasn't a lot of Pilates. So I knew that to reach people, I needed a website. And I knew that I could be successful in my area by having a site. And I knew that I wanted to be really clean, easy to navigate. I knew all of those things up front. I also knew what colors I wanted to use. I was really into this like burgundy color. In fact, I had equipment this color, which I think is really important in a rebranding or a branding effort. You want to make your colors kind of consistent. And then I didn't have an official logo done here. This was just kind of something the designer created using font. But I do highly recommend sticking to one logo. But this is a good example of a pretty good site. In fact, people still come to my site and say that they like it. And it's a good site. The problem with my site, the first thing I want to say about my site is that a lot of people visit it, but it doesn't convert. So you really want to focus on having a website that not only looks good, but also converts into sales. First thing I notice here are my two tabs at the top, follow on Facebook, follow on Twitter. What happens when I click on the Facebook, it does open a second window, which is good, but it takes me to a Facebook page, and all of a sudden I'm going to be looking at a bunch of different posts, a bunch of different things, and I completely forgot about Form Pilates. So I don't recommend putting your Facebook or Twitter on the top, what they call above the fold. So I recommend doing maybe small things down here or even just on the about or contact page. So you don't want to take people off your site. That's the first thing. Same thing with this mailing list. It could be embedded, but it takes me off the site. So again, here you can see this is a different logo than I had before. Branding, not so great. So that's kind of my goal, is to have everything branded together. This is also a widget that I had my designer create because we're trying to integrate. This is kind of what the new branding is going to look like. So because we didn't really have anything on the sidebar here to be able to direct people to our continuing education. And again, it's all piecemeal. When I started out, it was just me. Now I have a Pilates studio, so I wanted the site to really reflect the studio. So we added the studio tab here, which is actually pretty good. Again, we're using the same images. This whole site is HTML, which is pretty antiquated these days. I can't update my site myself. I highly recommend using WordPress or some other platform that you can do updates because it's really easy. And you want your site to be really easy to navigate. All this information is good, but the problem with all the text and even with the pricing, it doesn't really tell me as a potential client what this studio is going to do for me. It doesn't even look like a studio. I mean, it says the studio, but there's no introductory. I mean, it does say, yeah, we're a studio in New York City. We honor all methods, but it doesn't really explain like the idea of the studio. So I really wanted to capture that in the new site. So that's a huge thing that I'm doing. I changed my bio here to kind of reflect more about what I am, but I think it's important when you do an about page for it to be so much more than just about you and where you trained or where you taught. Making it about what you're going to do for the client and who your ideal client is. It's important. Testimonials, I have a couple testimonials on here. Would be great to have pictures of who this is, or even just a little thing that says who it is. Pictures are great. Pictures are really important. So let's see. The videos, what's that's about? Videos. I have a couple videos that I've embedded for sale on my site. But your YouTube, so here again, this is going to take me to another tab. Embed your YouTube videos onto your site, so it keeps people on the site. So this is the current site. So let's look at, I met with a branding expert, and let's look at what she created for me in terms of what I want to do going forward and what I need for my branding. I worked with an amazing branding expert, Allison Lipsig, and we had an initial meeting. She asked me a bunch of different questions about my brand and what about myself, and she came up with these really great mood boards. So I wanted to share them with you just to kind of see the evolution of what I had before and what I have now. And also, I wanted to say that my old site, while it was really nice to look at, it was very, a little bit cold. So I wanted something that showed my personality, because I'm definitely very upbeat and happy, and a lot of times my clients call me a cheerleader, and I wanted to have a little bit more color on the site. So this is what she came up with first. You can see there's some yellow. I really loved this idea of color blocking and some images. Was a little crafty for me, but I liked the color blocking. So then she put a lot of chevrons in, and I think it was mostly because I had a chevron rug in the studio, but I do really like the movement of a chevron. It just reminded me kind of Pilates. It's angular, but it has movement. Again, color blocking that I love. And some more chevrons. I loved this idea. I liked the chevrons with the colors. The chains kind of look like springs. Again, colors at the bottom here. I loved the coziness because I wanted the space to feel really cozy, but yet very clean. And then we really liked this idea of doing a graphics on, like an infographic. So that was a really cool thing. And she kind of gave me some examples of different infographics. And then in terms of images, we wanted to have a lot of images of people enjoying themselves in the studio, not just images of me doing Pilates like we had before. And then this was the first pass at my website. So you can see here, it's quite different than the other website. This is just a mock-up. It's not an actual WordPress site, but it's configured to work with a WordPress site. So it has a sidebar. This would be a slider. And then we had some boxes, and we spoke about how we wanted to have these boxes here. The most important thing I think about a site is that you have your, get your guide here, or you have some kind of freebie that you give away to build your email. Okay, again, what I was saying is that compared to my last site, right, you can see the difference. I have join your mailing list way down here at the bottom. So people, it does fit the frame of my browser, but it's way at the bottom. So I do recommend putting it above the fold at the top. And we're trying to use branding consistent with what we talked about in the mood boards, with some chevrons, these colors, and images. She just used these images based on what she had to kind of plug it in. So this was the first pass, the old and the new. So what we changed was we, first of all, put my logo, the correct logo. Again, we talked about the logo. I actually had somebody do this for me. I think it's important to have a logo that you really love. And what's kind of cool about this is that I can make it horizontal, or I can take all of this and put it underneath. I wanted, so I think it's important to do that. So I did that here, and I put that in. And then, again, we have the chevrons, the color blocking here, and then you have the sign up here at the top above the fold, and then again here at the bottom. So we have it above the fold and at the bottom, and I'm offering a free video in exchange for this sign up for their email. So again, we have, this is a slider, so it's going to change. This is kind of the version of the infographic that we're going to do. We incorporated more of the gray and more of the navy, which is part of my brand, but we kept some of the blue, the yellow, the peach, and then this little box here is going to be something I can change out from time to time based on, say, like we have continuing ed or whatever. So it's a really big change. We went a long way from, again, this very kind of serious, maybe a little intimidating, a little bit more sterile, not a lot of ability to, make it personal or personalize it or add or delete things based on what's happening in the studio, as opposed to this where I can customize this box, change out the sliders. We have the chevrons here. Again, a lot lighter, just a little bit more like my actual space. And these are all images that we took of the studio. So you can see there's a big difference. So this is the beginning of something awesome, and I'm hoping to show you this and launch this in June. So you'll see more of that. And that's it for today.